Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome back to our channel. My name is Beck. I am a professional mindset coach. I am also a medical doctor and the founder of the group coaching program, Dare Darling. There's a link below if you want to hear more about everything Dare Darling related. This is our group coaching program for successful women who are at the place in their life where they know that self-advocacy is the thing that would take them to the next level. Too much of their life, they've used their ability to work hard and their intelligence towards doing the right thing, doing what they should, towards obligations and preset ideas of success. And now it's time for them to use their discernment to choose what's best for them. My goodness, haven't you earned that? Now, in today's video, I wanted to talk about a tool, a concept that I used and made a focus last year as something that was very helpful to me and really improved the impact that I could make and also made my life a lot easier. And this is the concept, the tool of constraint. Now, constraint is a beautifully simple concept, and for a lot of us, it's actually a very repelling concept. A lot of us, especially people who watch this channel, have that badge of honor of being able to do it all. We're constantly juggling multiple things in the air. We're the person who never lets anybody down and yet has all these successes and achievements and somehow keeps those plates spinning, those balls in the air all the time. And this is even more of a reason why constraint might be really powerful for you. It might be a game changer for you. It might be that next ingredient that you need, that tool that you need to sharpen and apply to get you to the next level, to get you from what is good right now and move you over to great. So let me tell you how this works. So constraint is as it sounds. And in the big picture of your life, it is making the decision to do less compared to what you usually would do, and deliberately, relentlessly say no to those things that aren't on this predetermined list of what you're constraining to. Constraint might be something that you want to apply across your whole life, or it might be something that you want to apply, say, in an area of your life like health. Let's take health as an example. So if you're somebody who's trying to make a big transformation in your health, I don't know why I always pick health examples because it's not one of the main areas that I coach on, but it's just something that's very relatable. And it might be the personal trainer coming out in me, but it is a very easy example to understand. So let's say if we're looking at health, we've got, say, 4 different categories of health. Let's see if we can come up with some. So let's just go with 3. So exercise, mindfulness, and food. So say you want to improve your health, and you can see that you could benefit from changes, dramatic changes even, in all of these 3 areas. Now, it's very tempting for us when we decide we want to make a transformation, when we decide that we want a big change in our life, to say, well, I can see I need improvement in all these areas, so I'm going to tackle 1, 2, 3, all of them at once. We're going to get a personal trainer, join a gym, and hit the gym 3 times a week. We're going to meditate daily or start doing ritual mindfulness practices. And we're going to start a completely new diet. And I think listening to this, you might have an intuition as to how this kind of approach tends to play out. At the very best, when we try and change too much at once, we often fail. At best, we succeed in the short term, but ultimately we fail. It's just too much change at once. And this concept nicely encapsulates how when we don't constrain our attention and our efforts, we can often ultimately fail altogether. Now, for me, an important example of constraint last year was in my consumption of information. I'm somebody who loves to learn. That would be my kryptonite, just like the person who takes on too much in terms of a health change. At once, they try and change all 3 categories instead of focusing on 1, maybe 2, but generally 1. For me, I am at danger of consuming too much information, trying to learn too much and indulging in learning more, and doing that at the cost of executing. What I need to be doing is creating more, constructing more. That's the thing that's most aligned with my values, because it's actually me putting value out into the world and having people benefit from it. If I consume too much, it also affects how much I'm able to apply what I'm consuming. The point of consuming that information, of doing all that learning, is supposedly to enhance my life and to ultimately enhance the value that I can put out into the world. But if I'm not actually applying that work, that learning to my life, then what's it good for? Nothing. And that's the realization that I came to with the amount of books that I was reading. I was reading more than one per month. And that meant that I was proportionately spending way too much time on consuming, just looking at the books I was reading, compared to how much I was possibly able to apply that information, actually use the information that I was reading. If I'm honest with myself, if I'm reading more than one book a month, and maybe that might even be, it probably is still too much. If I'm reading more than one book a month, a lot of that learning is just indulgent learning. As in, to me, it's not noble anymore because I'm not actually applying the learning. I'm not actually bringing the learning out into my life, let alone into the work that I do with my clients. So I definitely noticed a great success last year of limiting the amount of audiobooks that I would allow myself to read, and therefore allowing myself more space to focus on the execution, the integration and implementation of what I was learning. And coming back to the health example, if you decide to constrain your focus and just focus on, say, exercise to start with for the first quarter of the year, or even say for the year, if you constrain your focus to just exercise, it's much more likely that you will be successful in actually integrating and implementing the exercise in the longer term, and having that be a change that truly becomes a part of you and then truly sticks with you for the long term, as opposed to if you were trying to implement all three of these categorical changes and you only lasted a couple of weeks or months and then you dropped it all. So let me talk about the three different ways that I see constraint can really add to your life, so you can help to decide if this is something that you want to apply for yourself as a tool during 2024, as something that may have you doing much less work and expending much less effort in your life, yet getting better results. So the first reason that constraint really works is because of consistency. When it comes to getting results from a change that we make, a meaningful change in our life, almost always what is required, one of the required ingredients, is consistency. Consistency is not only the thing that creates the result, but it's also the thing that helps you develop skills that stay with you. And let's think about that neuroplastic aspect of your brain. The fact that the more you repeat something, the more efficient your brain becomes at that pathway, the more easy it is for your brain to default to those pathways. The more you can be consistent with whatever change that you're making, whatever new thing you're trying to integrate into your life, the more effortless it becomes over time. Imagine you decided to go to a gym class 2 or 3 times a week, every single week, as opposed to, because you were trying to juggle the exercise with the mindfulness and the diet, you ended up only going to this gym class once every week or once every 2 weeks even, when it all kind of played out in your life. It feels like when I go to the gym so inconsistently, it feels like I'm starting a few steps back if I've taken more than a week off. And I lose that more effortless aspect. I lose that benefit, that ease of having that consistency in my life. So we make things harder for ourselves if we're not consistent, and we water down the ultimate result that we can get. Constraint makes you more likely and more able to be consistent. Now, 2, the second benefit of consistency is that you're not task switching as much. And this probably applies more to if, say, during your workday, you're focusing on a particular thing, or during your study, you're deciding to study on a particular topic. If you can stay along that same train of thought, it generally requires less effort. Once you're immersed in that topic, once you're immersed in that way of thinking, there's a sort of inertia about that. And we know that task switching, on the other hand, multitasking, as they say, is a myth of a method of productivity. Our brain doesn't switch from one task to another task well or with ease. Multitasking, doing 2 things at the same time, isn't even something that we have established that our brain can do. What we understand is that our brain can only pay attention to one thing at one time. And so at best, when we're multitasking, we're actually swapping our attention from one space to another space. And I think you know what it feels like when you sort of working on something and somebody comes and interrupts you. They interrupt your train of thought. And two problems kind of come about this. One is that you can't even get yourself back to the train of thought that you're on before. You actually just completely lose your track. And it takes you a lot of time to even find another place that's vaguely congruent with the direction you were trying to go. And secondly, you can also probably appreciate that once your train of thought is interrupted, you've just lost that beautiful momentum that was coming in your thoughts. You cannot recreate that momentum. And if you can keep running second after second with that momentum of your thoughts on one topic, that's obviously better than being interrupted and having to try and pick up, have little pauses and pick up again the direction that you were going. So that second benefit of constraint is that you don't do as much task switching. Your brain isn't having to work with so many competing demands. And the third benefit of constraint is along the same lines. It's to do with decision making. When you have less things to choose between, when you have already predetermined the limitations of what you can choose from in the day, when you've already made your focus and your priority really clear, it makes it so much easier to make decisions. Just think about making decisions for the week to come. Are you going to plan out what you're going to do with your free time? When you have a clear area of focus, when you have said exercise is my focus, not diet. Exercise is my focus. Think about how much easier it is to make decisions from that place. And secondly, on a moment-to-moment basis in the day, when you're faced with a difficult situation, when you're being pulled emotionally one way or by fatigue, lethargy, or stress or some kind of challenge in a direction, and it's very clear in your mind that exercise is your focus. That you're not like, oh, but I also want to be able to get to the supermarket because I need to pick my food, or I want to be able to get to bed early so I can wake up early and do mindfulness, but it's just like exercise. Exercise is my focus. It makes it so much easier in that moment of a difficult decision to make a decision because you have a direction, you have a compass to say exercise is my priority. This is what I'm constraining to. And so this concept of constraint makes your life so much easier in terms of making decisions that really serve your best interest, especially when you are having trouble otherwise connecting with what might be the best option for you in that difficult moment. So my beautiful friends, I hope that this idea of constraint has something to offer you in your life. And as with all coaching concepts, it's not something that is necessarily the right way or the best thing to do, but I really want you to think about it as a tool. If you are somebody who, let's just go back to that health transformation example, you're somebody who's tried changing all of these things at once, again and again, and it just doesn't work for you, then constraint is just another option that you can try. And I just want to bring to your attention that doing less can sometimes be so much more effective, and that those are the three benefits that come from doing less. This can hopefully help you think about how doing less can actually make your life better and get you better results, as opposed to being less as in being lazy or taking a shortcut or taking the easy way or doing less and therefore not getting as good results. No, you can actually do less and get just as good or better results and just have it be easier. All right, my beautiful friends, I hope this one helped you today. Constraint has been an absolute gift in my life, and I plan for it to be an ongoing priority for me in 2024. See you guys in my next one.